So hi guys, happy Friday, good afternoon everyone. So happy Friday to you all and welcome to this midweek market review, although even if it's coming out on Friday. So midweek because you're looking at a review of the setups that we were looking out for the week. All right, so more about just giving updates and yeah, giving updates about the various setups that you have been looking out for. And remember today is CPI, so we are also looking at what it is you're anticipating and also how you're looking at ending. Also how you're looking at ending the week. All right. So welcome on board, guys. As we get to start off on these, and we get to look at the various pairs that we are looking out for. So starting off right here, you can see this is the blog. I haven't shared the video on 9th, so this is sometime this week. This is the weekly market outlook of the various pairs that I was observing for this week. So you can check it out right here on the blog. It's right here on the blog, so you can easily get to check it out. For the guys on Discord, I have shared. Definitely, we've talked about the analysis in depth. Shared right here on the blog, so we've talked about it in depth quite a bit of analysis, but then the majority of analysis was shared on YouTube and the blog right there. So I'm gonna look at those pairs. So starting off, I have Euro USD. So I'll go as the pairs are. So I'll start off with Euro USD, then go progressing on to the rest of the other pairs. So this is what you have on Euro USD. For Euro USD, we've seen price push to the upside as we had previously anticipated. Remember, my working range has been from this demand because this was a previous supply, then broken forms a new demand. So these was a previously untested. This was a previously untested supply. So when price rallied all the way to these areas of 1.2400, price rallied all the way to these areas of 1.2400, then came back to this demand. So this becomes a fresh demand because when price broke it as supply, it was never retested. So price just came and tapped onto it as a fresh demand. Then you've seen a strong push to the upside. So what I'd previously anticipate is to see price rallying all the way back to these areas of 1.2400. However, we saw price rally to this is the mid range of this full range because the range is from this demand all the way to this supply. Then you're from this supply again all the way down to this demand like that, right? So we had that range. We have that range. So price formed these highs at 1.19. This is 1.19 to 20, then retraced back a bit. So what I'd want to see is price probably retracing back to this area here or coming all the way down back to this demand like that before now potential push to the upside like this. Okay, so as long as we are still above this demand, we are still in bullish trajectory. So I'll be expecting to see either a reaction from here. Can see where this rejection came to a reaction from here, or price drops all the way into this demand at 1.17900 before now a potential. Before now a potential bullish reversal. Okay, so let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. So we have that on Euro USD. Then let's have a look at GBP USD as well. So price for Euro USD price already had moved about. This is already 140 pips. Okay. 140 pips is quite a good move. And I was looking at targeting 200 and this is 1.2400. So about 250 pips. Okay. I was targeting 250 pips. So far, we've done about 140. So still quite a good move. Then you have GBP USD. So for GBP USD, this is what you've had. So price has been rallying from. We've had again. You consider similarity in terms of setups. So from this demand area at 1.35590 and 1.35330, because this was a previously broken supply like that. Okay. These was a previously broken supply. Then it wasn't retested. Price just rallied and went all the way to the highs of 1.38500. Now price dropped and came all the way back to this, and now retested it as a fresh demand before a continuation. before a bullish push, of which we saw price rallying all the way to these highs of 1.37 thousand. Remember that I had mentioned that if price doesn't take out these highs, okay, if price doesn't, I had mentioned that if price doesn't take out these highs, I'll be looking out for a potential bearish push to the downside, and that is what you've seen because we had price rally at least. We had these rally. This is about from here till these again. These were solid 160 pips. Okay, this is a solid 160. This is a solid 160 pips. We saw price hold at this area, and now we are seeing a push to the downside. Okay. Now we are seeing a push to the downside. I don't want to see price drop all the way back to these areas of 1.35, 590 areas. Then if this demand holds, definitely we'll be looking at a potential bullish push like that. Okay, and price comes back to this demand. So that is what you have so far. These was a good, a very solid 160 pips on this one. So let's observe. Let's observe and see how price gets to. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. All right. So we have that. Then this is what we have. We have that. Then that is on GBP USD. Then let's have a look at that is on GBP USD. Let me clear this. Then let's have a look at USD CHF. These on the daily, you can see even on the daily how these zones are. Okay. Even on the daily, you can see how these zones are. I'm currently waiting to see how price gets to react to this. So just basically price pushing back to these areas of 1.35, 630, 1.35, 630 areas. All right. Basically these area 1.35, 600 areas. Okay. So you have that. Let's observe and see how price reacts to this. Then we have a look at USD CAD. USD CAD. There I have USD CAD. Eventually, price has already broken above this. So remember the kind of scenario that we had been having. Prices reacting from this level here. So our working range has been from this supply all all the way down to this demand. Then from this demand pushing back to these highs, that range is filled. So my areas of interest was the areas of 1.37 400. So my working range has been from the highs of 1.37 400 to the lows of 1.34 800 back to these highs. Price failed to take out these highs, and that is why we saw a very strong drop all the way back down to these highs. I mean these lows, sorry, these lows of just close to 1.35 thousand areas. So we have that. Yeah, we have that. Let's observe and see. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Then after that, we saw now price pushing to the upside. We've seen a break above this, so most likely we might have a retest of this area. Then now a slight push to the upside, back to these highs up here. Okay, back to these highs of 1.37 thousand areas. So it's a key area of interest to observe based off this being the origin of the drop all the way down to this. These highs again being the origin of the drop down to this. So our working range is from these highs all the way down to these lows, and then back from these lows all the way to these highs like that for that range to be filled. All right. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Then we have USD CHF. USD CHF. This is what you have on USD CHF. So for USD CHF, this is the scenario we've been working with. Remember, this has been a very major demand on the 4 hour and the daily time frame. Okay, this has been a very major area of interest on the 4 hour and the daily time frame. We have had these kind of scenario. Okay, we've had these kind of scenario. So price broke below this demand, and this is the demand of 0.78590 and 0.79120. We saw price broke below this, and we didn't have any retest. So we had a very strong drop all the way down to this next demand at 0.76540 and 0.76140. Then we've seen price push to the upside, then retrace all the way back to this demand. Then this demand holds, then we see a push to the upside. So what I don't want to see is a slight retracement before now, another solid push to the upside. Okay, because if this demand holds, then definitely we'll be looking at a potential bullish push. However, remember today is CPI, so we might actually see price push to the upside back to these highs of 0.78 thousand, because now we have a minor range from these highs of 0.78 thousand. You have a minor range from here all the way down to this demand end, back to that high of 0.78 thousand. Then when price breaks above, we see price fill the full range all the way to 0.78590 areas, which is this supply above here. Okay. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this on USD, on USD CHF, and this on the 4 hour. If you check out the daily time frame as well, well, on the daily time frame you can see how price is reacting to this. Okay, so even on the daily time frame you can see how price gets to react to this. You can see this is a very key zone even on the you can see it's a very key zone even on the daily time frame. Okay, so we have that. Let's observe and see. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Okay, so we have that. Then I was just refining these levels like that. hmm Yeah, so just refining it like that. Can see it much better now. Then we have NZD USD. So for NZD USD, this is what you have. So there you have NZD USD. I have been quite bearish on NZD USD for a while. From the very first time when price tapped this area here, because these are very key area of supply based on both the 4 hour and the daily time frame. So it's more of price filling this range back to this supply at 0.6750 and 0.6500. Then you had the drop, a retest of this. This is the first time I was looking for potential sells. Then you had a very nice drop all the way to 0.59400. Then price retraced back to this supply. Then this week we've seen just a lot of consolidation within this area here for this pair. Then we had a very strong bearish engulfing candle with a candle close below the zone. So what I'd want to see is a retest of this zone at 0.6500 before now potential push to the downside. The first area of interest will definitely be this mid-range at 0.59400. Then the next area of interest is price filling the full range all the way down to this demand at 0.58400 areas. So my working range becomes from this demand all the way to this supply and back to this demand. So this is the range like that. Okay. This is the range that we are working with. Okay. So let's observe and see how prices will react to that on NZD/USD. I'm still anticipating a potential retest of this because this is quite a slow pair. So I'm looking at a potential retest of this, then continuation of the drop lower. Okay. So we have that. Let's observe and see. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. Then we have this on NZD/USD. Then let's have a look at AUD/USD as well. So for AUD, I think price has already hit the target that you're anticipating. Yeah, so this is the target based off the daily. We had price breaking above this demand. We had price breaking above this demand, and I remember mentioning about this on Wednesday and Tuesday, Wednesday, and yesterday on Thursday. So we had a break above this price from these highs at 0.70 700 areas, then a retest of the broken supply as a new demand, a push up, another retest again. Then you see price rallying all the way to these next highs on these next supply at 0.71400. Now this is based off the daily time frame. Okay, this is based off the daily time frame. If I come to the daily, this is what you have. So on the daily, 0.71 for 100 areas is the next area of interest. So I am looking at prices coming back to. We had price tapping this level based off the daily. and then you see a very strong drop to the downside. Now observe how price has reacted at this level. All those instances when price has reacted at this zone, we've seen very strong pushes to the downside. This zone has very high supply imbalance because each time price has tapped that area, we've seen a very strong drop to the downside. So even that is why this was the target. That is why this was the target for the buys. And now you're seeing a potential bearish reversal when price taps that area. And I'm looking at prices coming back to the areas of 0.69380 areas. So we have that based off the daily. So we have that on the daily if we come to the 4-hour time frame now. You can see how price has reacted to this. So we have had a tap of this area, then price swiftly reversing, and I'm looking at prices coming back to these areas of 0.69380. So basically back to this because now the range becomes from this demand all the way to this supply and back to this demand. That range gets filled. All right. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to. Get to observe and see how price reacts to this on AUD USD. Then we have a look at the dollar index. This is what you have on the dollar index. So the dollar index dropped into a very major daily time frame demand. Okay, you can see these are very major daily time frame demand price, and it has also been an origin of major price moves. Anytime price dropped into this demand at 97.150 and 96.460, we've seen a strong push to the upside from here, a strong push to this supply. From this level again, a strong push all the way to this supply. Then at this level again, we have a strong push. That is what I'd be anticipating. Although so far we are just seeing price currently consolidating within this area here, but that is what I will be anticipating to see. All right, that is what I will be anticipating to see price do. So, however, remember these on the daily. So price can really consolidate at this area before we see now the anticipated bullish reversal. Okay, so let's observe and see how price reacts to this. Then we can have a look at Euro GBP. For Euro GBP again, price already filled this range on the range on the daily. Our targets were hit for this one. So our working range has been from this supply all the way down to this demand, then this demand to this supply, from this supply to this demand, from this demand to this supply. And remember, we were taking bias from this demand, and the target was this supply, so that target has been hit. Now we are looking for potential sales again, pushing price back to these areas of 0.86 for 40, basically the origin of this rally, which is back to this demand. Okay, so we have that. We have that on. We have that on Euro GBP. Then let's have a look at also Euro NZD because for potential swing sales on Euro and Euro NZD. We have a potential swing sales on this one. So and this is based off the daily time frame. So this is a potential 700 pip move that you are looking out for. So we had price break below this area of interest on this demand on the daily time frame. So we see price form a lower low, a retest. Then I'm expecting a continuation of the drop lower. So the moment we take out these lows, I don't want to see price drop all the way down to. Definitely the next area of interest will be based off these lows right here. This is the areas of 1.93 400, no, 1.93 500 areas. Okay. 1.93 500 areas. Then the next area of interest is these areas price coming all the way down to these areas of 1.92 thousand areas down here, basically at this demand. Okay. Because again now this demand was the origin of the rally all the way to this supply area here. Okay. So now that this is our working range, this is on the daily time frame. So we are anticipating to see price push to the downside and coming all the way to these areas of 1.91 or 1.92 thousand areas. Okay. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react. We have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Then that is on Euro NZD. Let's have a look at NAS 100. We have NAS 100 and US 30 as well. So this is what you have on Nasdaq. So for NAS, this is on the 4 hour. For Nasdaq, this one got invalidated because we were looking at a break above a retest, then a push higher. So we saw price pushing to 25,400. Then we have now seen price break below this and is pushing to the downside. So this one has invalidated our setup. Okay, because I was anticipating to see price keep pushing higher. So for that one has invalidated the setup. So we just maintain and see how price gets to. We get to see how price reacts to this. Then we have US 30. US 30. Mhm. So for US 30 again, we've seen price drop all the way from all-time highs. So these are the all-time highs, the new all-time highs of 50,500. So remember again, the working range is from this demand all the way to now these new highs and back to this demand. So in this scenario, I don't see price drop back to the demand of 48,830. Then from this area, we can now look out uh, for potential buys. Okay. When price gets this area, we can now look out for potential buys. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. We are still expecting to see a push to the downside back to currently price is at 49,372. We are looking at prices coming back to the areas of 48,830 areas. Okay, 48,830 areas. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. So our working range is from this demand all the way to these highs and back to this demand. That range gets filled. All right. So we have that. Expect to see a push to the downside back to demand then. If this demand holds, we now expect a potential bullish reversal with prices pushing higher back to these all-time highs of 50,500 areas. Okay. So we have that. Then let me have a look at gold and silver. So here you have gold, and let me have silver just right next to it. XGUSD. I've not looked at US oil and UK oil. I'll have a look at that as well. So this is silver and gold. So this is gold. Remember in the video I did on Monday, I mentioned that this is the mid range. The major range is from this demand all the way to these highs of 5,600 and back to this demand. That range was filled. Then you have a push to the mid range. Then you had a strike, you have a drop to 4,700. Price comes back to 5,100. Now you're seeing a huge bearish engulfing candle with a candle close below this. So what I'd be expecting to see is a retest of 5,005 before, a potential push to the downside, and prices probably coming back to these areas of 4,700. Right? So because again we are still within this range, as long as we are below this, we are still in bearish trajectory. If price breaks above this, then that is when we will be looking at a potential continuation of the rally higher when price breaks above 5,100. So until then, we're still within these regions here. So I'll be expecting to see a potential bearish push to the downside, at least back to the areas of 4,800 or 4,700 areas. Okay. So we have that on gold. Then let's have a look at silver. So for silver as well is the same kind of scenario. Working range has been from the major range from this demand all the way to these highs of 120 and back to this demand. That range was filled. Then price pushes up, comes back to this demand again. Price pushes up, then comes back to almost this demand. So I'd want to see probably a tap of this before now. A drop back into this demand at 72.150, 45 areas. Okay. So we have that on silver and these on the 4 hour. Also, you can check out the daily as well. On the daily as well, you can see the structures that you're working with. You have this area here. Price keeps reacting from this level here. So let's observe and see how price reacts to this. Then we have oil. So you have US oil. You have US oil and UK oil as well. hmm And UK oil, yes. So for US oil, I can see we've done quite well. The targets were hit and the reversal happened as anticipated. Okay. The reversal happened as anticipated because they had this was our working range from this supply area and to from this supply to this demand back to this supply, that range was filled. Then price comes drops back to demand. Then from demand again we had a bullish push to this supply, this range was filled. Now when I was having the session yesterday, or was it yesterday or on Wednesday, where I mentioned that when price taps this supply, expect a potential bearish reversal, and we have seen top of this a very strong drop all the way down to this demand at 62.60 areas. So for this one again, the range has been filled, the target has been hit on US oil. So as long as this demand holds, again expect a potential bullish push back up to the origin of this drop, which is 65.60. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this. Then lastly, UK oil. For UK oil as well, price broke above and rallied to these areas here. So you have these areas right here. So I want to see a potential drop back to 66.26. Then here we can now look out for a potential bullish reversal like that. All right. So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to this right here as it came to this area. I was looking at prices coming to these areas of these highs, but instead has reacted from these and they're pushing lower. So I don't see probably price coming back to 66.30, then a potential bullish push from here. But in case price closes below these and pushes to the downside, it's still okay, right? So we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to that, right? So as we come to almost the end of the week, I'm hoping that guys are journaling their trades, and we get to observe CPI today. We get to observe the market close. We get to observe how the markets close today, so that we are able to align ourselves accordingly for next week. All right. So with that, guys, I'd like to wish you all a very amazing Friday and the rest of your weekend. So cheers, everyone. Stay blessed and stay financially literate. Let's catch up on Monday into the next weekly market outlook. So cheers, guys.